Hi, everyone. I just wanted to take a few minutes and jump in here this week and talk to you guys a little bit about the concept of relocation. I know you're in the second week of CCD, and I know that relocation is one of the topics that are talked about a lot this week. And I just wanted to share my opinions and thoughts about this concept because this is one that it's really stuck with me over the years, and it's been very impactful for my scenario and where I've been. So for me, relocation it's a lot broader sometimes than at least I initially thought it was. So I live in Metro Detroit, so I'm on the south side. I'm in a little city municipality called Southgate. It is very small. You can drive from one edge of Southgate to the other in probably 10 minutes. But we are in this conglomeration of municipalities called Downriver, which are all down the river from the big city of Detroit. So Metro Detroit is actually very large. It'll take you quite a long time if you wanted to drive from the south edge to the northern edge, probably about an hour and a half drive from edge to edge. It's very, very large, and that's via highway. But relocation is important because to my wife and I, Downriver is a place where a lot of people don't want to come to. It's the space that has a lot of history, but at the same time, it's also a place that has a lot of brain drain. It has a lot of baggage that comes with it for those of us in our age bracket. So we are young adults. It's a place that people either want to leave or they feel stuck in. There's not a lot of, it's not a place like Atlanta or New York, LA, Seattle, somewhere in Colorado where people flood in and they really want to be in that place, and you're fighting tourist living. It's actually the opposite. Wayne County, the county that Detroit is in, has had consistent population decline, I believe, for the last 40 years. And that is something that we still recognize today. There are a lot of people that are here. There are a lot of people that stay, that their families stay. You have a lot of people that they live on the same street that their parents do, and their parents are on the same street that their parents were on. And there's a lot of consistency and pride for the people who are here. But in regards to not transitional living, but moving from a place to here, that is not incredibly common. So that's something I've done. My wife grew up here. But when we talk about the concept of relocation, a few pieces that have stuck out to me is sometimes it's you. Sometimes you are the one that is relocating. And that was the case for me. I relocated to here from Indianapolis, and I had to learn a lot. I had to learn about the space, learn about the culture, learn about the people. Sometimes relocation, as you'll learn through the readings this week, is about others. I know that John Perkins talked a lot about bringing people from where they were to his community to help develop it. And that is something that's really important too. It's not as easy as it sounds. In reading the book, it felt like, oh, this is such a great idea. Let's try to do this. And in the immediate season after learning about this concept, I actually had a handful of people leave our community and move out. And it was really, really difficult. But there are two sides to that. Sometimes relocating is you, where God is calling you to be and to pour into. And sometimes it's other people relocating to join the cause and join developing a certain place. In this concept of relocation, there are a few things that have stuck out to me that I hope would be a help to you guys. And the first is be cognizant of history. When I moved here, I really wanted to learn a lot about the place because I didn't know a whole lot about Detroit. I knew the stereotypes that Detroit is a car city, Detroit is a dangerous city, and you need to be aware. Those are the stereotypes, and I don't make that up. We have many people come to visit, and when we ask them if they want to go downtown, they say, no, I don't want to get shot. And that's actually been said, and that's not true. That's not what happens. But the history of how Detroit came about, I was really interested in learning about it. And the way Detroit came about was actually very similar to Los Angeles rather than a city like Chicago. Detroit did not just get too big for the downtown and grow outward. It actually started as a city core, and as the post-World War II industry began to crumble, people left, the people with money left and moved and created other cities around the area. So there's a lot of, like, not just localism in Detroit, but within Detroit, a lot of local pride about what municipality you're from. And that ties a lot to the history. So for me, I would love to live in downtown. I would love to live in Detroit proper. But as I've studied the history and as I've been a part of just my community, my space, I'm recognizing that that's not appropriate. The way that the financial and honestly the racial lines were drawn in the city, a lot of people were stuck in downtown. So for me to go back in there, while there is some neighboring that can be done, in my context, there would be a lot of other taking that would be done, where people were stuck and others went out of the city and took what was here. And now that it's becoming trendy again, a lot of people are moving into the city with the cool factor that we read about in Race and Place. That's happening here. So for me, understanding the history and that, maybe partnering with the city instead of fully relocating into the Detroit proper space, sometimes that is important. The other thing is to look towards the future and recognizing that places don't stay the same. It was interesting in reading the history of the cities that New York and Detroit were both in city crisis around the same time, about 50, 60 years ago, and they both went on very different paths towards growth. And so as I'm sitting here looking towards the future, I know that Detroit is not going to be the same. For my city, an opinion I have is that as the city does begin to gentrify and grow and a lot of money is poured into the city, a lot of higher end things are done, a lot of those people who were left financially couldn't leave, they're going to be pushed out. Not just out of the downtown core, but beyond this ring around the downtown core into what are currently the suburban style cities. So where I am, I think in 20 years is going to be the demographics of just outside of the downtown core. So for me, relocating honestly looks like staying, and rather than moving out, where a lot of people in my community are interested in doing, moving out towards more land, where it's cheaper, where they can build whatever they want, or moving into where a lot of money is being poured in. I'm going to relocate to where people are going to be who are in need. People are going to be in this space. So that is interesting to look towards the future and to think about not just what the city is now, but where the city is going to be and how that plays a role in relocating or not relocating as well. Lastly, I just want to share the importance of being present. It's immense in today's day and age. A lot of people in my space they're thinking out. They want to go, they don't want to be. And just being somewhere and choosing to put down your roots is incredibly important. I read a book by an author from my alma mater a couple of years ago, and in the book he challenges every reader. He says, what if you decided to pick a place and to invest in it for 20 years? What would it look like after that? And that was something that I almost naively took on as an undergrad. But as I've been here and as I've been through these classes and I've been reading these books, this is something that I really do think is important. What if you decided to, okay, maybe you do relocate or you choose to stay and you choose to relocate in place, but then be there for a longer period of time and not just be there for a year or 2 years. My wife and I have been here 5.5 years now, and things are just beginning to look a little different. We're beginning to see the first fruits of some things. And all of that comes from being present. It doesn't come from something spectacular. It doesn't come from having some crazy plan or whatever. It comes from just deciding to be here and to stay here and to say, people want to leave. Well, that's okay. We're going to stick around. We're going to bring what we have. We're not going to go looking for what is elsewhere. Our place needs people to decide to be here and to stay here. And I'm recognizing how that's just as important as understanding ABCD or CCD or having a plan or connecting to an association, but just deciding I'm going to be here and I'm going to be in this place. That matters a whole lot. You can have a lot of people, we have had people move in, but they didn't want to be here. They didn't want to pour in, and that really affected things, or honestly didn't affect a lot of things. They were here for a season and then they left. So as you guys learn this week and you read this content, I would encourage you to think about, what does relocation look like? Whether, hey, maybe you should relocate or I shouldn't relocate. What does that look for you guys, especially as you think about the history of the future and what it means to be present where you are? You guys are doing great work, and it was great to talk to you.